The heavy silence of the great hall is broken only by the deliberate echoing footsteps of King Viserys I Targaryen. Standing before the assembled royal court, the king bears the visible fatigue of a ruler still mourning his deceased queen, yet the relentless machinery of the realm demands his attention. Seated prominently before him is his hand, Ser Otto Hightower, whose watchful, calculating eyes take in every movement, while Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen stands closely by, observing the political theater. Viserys breaks the silence, addressing the court with gravity as he prepares to confront the compounding crises facing his fractured family and a restless kingdom. The fragile illusion of stability shatters completely within the confines of the small council chamber. Grand Maester Melas steps forward, delivering a grim double blow to the crown. Ser Ryam Redwine, the venerable Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, has passed away peacefully in his sleep, leaving the royal protection short of its sacred 7 members. Even as the council murmurs the customary "Long live the king," Lord Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake, completely bypasses the mourning protocols. Furious and unyielding, Corlys demands immediate military reprisal for the 4 Velaryon ships sunk in the Stepstones by the Crabfeeders' forces. Viserys attempts to placate the wealthiest lord of the realm by offering full financial compensation for the lost vessels and men, but Corlys aggressively rejects the coin, demanding blood and the absolute eradication of the pirate threat. When Viserys asserts his refusal to provoke an open war with the free cities backing the pirates, Otto Hightower smoothly intervenes, warning that entering foreign conflicts could bring unpredictable, catastrophic consequences. The tension escalates as Corlys openly insults the crown's passivity, pointing out that Prince Daemon Targaryen has occupied Dragonstone for 6 months without a single reprimand from the throne. As Otto demands respect for the sovereign, Viserys desperately tries to maintain authority, claiming that diplomatic envoys have been sent to Pentos and Volantis to manage the crisis. Sensing the weakness in the room, Rhaenyra steps forward with bold Valyrian fire, urging her father to deploy the dragon riders to project absolute power. The council patronizingly dismisses her strategic instinct, and Otto cleverly redirects her focus, suggesting the princess's talents are better suited for choosing the new Kingsguard knight. Accompanied by the new Lord Commander, Ser Harold Westerling, a displaced Rhaenyra is led away to oversee the martial selection. In the outer courtyard, the air is thick with noble ambition as Ser Harold escorts Princess Rhaenyra to inspect the candidates gathered for the vacant White Cloak. The selection quickly transforms into a political battleground. Ser Harold introduces highborn lords like Ser Desmond Caron, boasting of his strength and a recent stag hunt in the Kingswood, and Ser Ryam Mallister, a decorated champion of the Cider Hall tourney. Rhaenyra, entirely unimpressed by aristocratic titles and superficial accolades, cuts through the courtly fluff with a sharp question. Have any of these men seen actual lethal combat beyond the safety of a tourney field? Her question finds its answer in the next candidate, Ser Criston Cole. Unlike the others, Criston speaks with the quiet confidence of a seasoned veteran, recounting his year of brutal frontline service as a foot soldier fighting off Dornish incursions in the treacherous Dornish marches. Recognizing true martial grit, Rhaenyra instantly declares her choice. Otto Hightower immediately objects, urging caution and reminding her that choosing houses like Craighall or Mallister would secure vital political alliances for the realm. Rhaenyra firmly counters that those lords are merely green boys, and her father deserves the protection of a proven warrior. Silenced by her conviction, Otto relents, allowing the formal appointment to proceed. Deep within the private royal quarters, King Viserys seeks solace in history, meticulously working on his massive, highly detailed stone model of Old Valyria. He explains the grand layout to Lady Alicent Hightower, describing how the ancient dragon lords and high nobility lived at the smoking mouth of the volcano, closest to the god's magic, and points out Enogria, where blood mages once forged their legendary weapons. Alicent listens with rapt attention, marveling at the structure, though Viserys humbly credits the true craftsmanship to the royal stonemasons. When Alicent asks if Westeros could ever replicate the grandeur of that vanished empire, Viserys muses heavily on the precarious nature of power, noting that greatness and ruin walk hand in hand. The conversation shifts to a more intimate vulnerability as Viserys laments his growing distance from Rhaenyra, confessing that his daughter barely speaks to him. Alicent offers a gentle, empathetic ear, drawing on the memory of losing her own mother to comfort the grieving king. She urges Viserys to reach out to the princess, assuring him that anyone would find comfort in his presence. Deeply touched by her understanding, Viserys asks Alicent to keep their quiet rendezvous a secret from Rhaenyra, a request she submissively accepts. Within the serene, candlelit sanctuary of the Grand September, a profound disconnect divides two lifelong friends. Princess Rhaenyra bitterly vents to Alicent about the cold reality of court politics, noting that a mere 6 months after her mother's passing, the lords are already plotting her father's remarriage and scheming to strip away her status as named heir. Alicent gently tries to soothe her anxiety, reassuring Rhaenyra of the king's absolute love and his conscious choice to place her on the throne. Yet, Rhaenyra remains cynical, believing she was only chosen as a tool to spite her rogue uncle, Daemon. Hoping to offer genuine solace, Alicent invites Rhaenyra to join her in prayer, explaining that the quiet of the sept is the only place she can still feel a profound connection to her own departed mother. Rhaenyra initially dismisses the ritual as foolishness, feeling entirely empty, but Alicent encourages her to try, if not for herself, then out of respect for Queen Aemma's memory. As they stand before the altar, the emotional weight breaks through Rhaenyra's stoic armor, and she begins to weep. She confesses her deep frustration that her father views her as nothing more than a little girl, unable to comprehend her grief. Alicent holds her space with quiet support, binding their bond even tighter while harboring the heavy secret of her own private meetings with the king. The political pressure intensifies as Lord Corlys Velaryon and Princess Rhaenys Targaryen secure a private audience with King Viserys. Corlys begins with calculated diplomatic grace, assuring the king that despite their recent clashes in the council chamber, the ancient bond between their houses remains unbreakable. Viserys offers an apology for his harsh tone, explaining that as sovereign his primary duty is to prevent a catastrophic, premature war that the realm simply does not want. Corlys, however, refuses to drop his guard, painting a dark portrait of a kingdom sliding into vulnerability, the queen dead, a female heir named for the first time in history, Daemon occupying Dragonstone without consequence, and foreign enemies choking their vital trade routes. When Viserys accuses him of exaggerating the danger, Corlys delivers a powerful naval metaphor. To survive a storm, a captain must sail through it or around it, but never wait for it to arrive. He then presents his ultimate solution to solidify the realm, a strategic marriage between Viserys and his young daughter, Lady Rhaenyra Velaryon. Corlys urges the king to unite the dragons of House Targaryen with the massive fleet of House Velaryon, binding the two surviving bloodlines of Old Valyria to secure the future of the Iron Throne. Viserys is visibly hesitant, noting that it has been only 6 months since Aemma's death, but Corlys presses on, insisting the kingdom needs a secured succession. Later, the narrative shifts back to the Red Keep, where Viserys attempts to bridge the emotional divide with Rhaenyra. He expresses deep regret for their prolonged silence following the tragedy of her mother's passing, a grief they both profoundly share. Rhaenyra remains guarded, reminding him that he is the king and can do as he pleases. When Viserys mentions that Ser Harald introduced several candidates to fill the Kingsguard vacancy, Rhaenyra steers the conversation toward her choice of Ser Criston Cole, defending his genuine battlefield experience. As Viserys hints at the heavy geopolitical matters weighing on the small council, Rhaenyra tells him not to worry, gently assuring him that he will learn to navigate the escalating storm. The physical decay of the king mirrors the growing rot within his administration. Viserys sits grimly in his chambers as Grand Maester Melas applies flesh-eating maggots to a worsening, necrotic wound on his hand, explaining that the creatures must consume the dead flesh to prevent a systemic infection. Otto Hightower stands by, watching the agonizing procedure with detached focus. Viserys reveals the details of his private meeting with the Velaryons, prompting Otto to validate the massive strategic weight of House Velaryon while subtly feeling out the king's reaction. When Viserys asks his hand for direct, personal advice, Otto carefully strikes, pointing out that Lady Rhaenyra is still far too young. Though Melas argues that a union between the two great Valyrian houses would send an unyielding message of unity to the world, Viserys confesses his greatest hesitation, the emotional impact it would have on Rhaenyra. Otto smoothly exploits the king's vulnerability, arguing that a sovereign cannot allow personal grief or a daughter's feelings to compromise his ultimate duty to secure the succession, using the painful memory of his own late wife to manipulate Viserys into moving forward. The deeply uncomfortable reality of the Velaryon match is laid bare during a quiet walk through the Red Keep gardens. King Viserys walks alongside the 12-year-old Lady Rhaenyra Velaryon, attempting to find common ground by discussing the legendary dragon Balerion, the Black Dread. Rhaenyra speaks with coached, rehearsed precociousness, recalling that she and the king were the last to ride the beast before its death took the final memories of Old Valyria with it. She turns the conversation to Vhagar, noting that the massive dragon is now too large for the dragon pit and is rumored by sailors to be singing a lonely song beyond the narrow sea. Viserys remarks on the inherent loneliness of dragons, but the illusion of a normal conversation is shattered when Rhaenyra launches into a stiff, politically calculated speech about her honor in uniting their houses and her readiness to provide pure Valyrian heirs for the prosperity of the kingdom. Seeing right through the display, Viserys gently asks if that was what her father instructed her to say, and inquires what her mother, Rhaenys, told her. The child answers with heartbreaking raw innocence. Her mother told her only that she would not have to share the king's bed until she turned 14. High upon the castle ramparts, overlooking the vast expanse of Blackwater Bay, Princess Rhaenys confronts Rhaenyra with the unyielding, cynical truth of Westerosi politics. Rhaenyra attempts to project royal stoicism, claiming she understands her father's sovereign duty to remarry and strengthen the succession line. Rhaenys scoffs at the political posturing, asking how the situation truly affects Rhaenyra as a daughter. When Rhaenyra maintains her rigid stance, Rhaenys delivers a chilling reality check. Whether Viserys chooses Lena or another lady, a new queen will inevitably ascend, and the entire realm will obsessively watch her womb for the arrival of a son. Rhaenys warns that the moment a male heir is born, the lords of the realm will instantly move to place him on the throne upon Viserys' death, entirely bypassing Rhaenyra. The young princess defiantly declares that when she becomes queen, she will break the wheel and change the status quo. Rhaenys smiles pityingly, reminding her that the Great Council had the perfect opportunity to choose a queen and rejected her claim before she was even considered. When Rhaenyra insists that the lords knelt and swore sacred oaths to her, Rhaenys delivers the ultimate, bitter truth. The lords only knelt because the king forced them to, for the men of the realm would sooner see the kingdom burn under a man than yield to a woman on the Iron Throne. In a quiet moment of domestic intimacy, King Viserys and Alicent Hightower continue their secret meetings. Viserys voices the immense pressure from the small council to select a new queen, and Alicent dutifully responds that a kind young queen would bring profound comfort to the people. When Viserys admits his unfamiliarity with Lena despite the political advantages of the match, Alicent strokes his ego, suggesting Lena would be a fine companion, just as she herself has striven to be. To further solidify her place in his favor, Alicent presents a thoughtful gift, a beautifully repaired stone piece for his Valyria model, fixed by her own request to a royal craftsman. Viserys is deeply moved by her devotion. The intimate moment is violently interrupted. A servant rushes in, followed immediately by a panicked Otto Hightower, who demands an emergency gathering of the small council. As the lords assemble in haste, Otto reveals an outrageous security breach that occurred under the cover of night. A thief has managed to outsmart 50 elite dragon keepers and steal a priceless dragon egg. Viserys demands to know how such an impossibility occurred, and Otto confirms the culprit is none other than Prince Daemon. Otto reads aloud Daemon's mocking decree, which boldly proclaims his second marriage to his mistress, Mysaria, under the ancient customs of old Valyria, naming her the Lady of Dragonstone. The decree further reveals that Mysaria is pregnant, and the stolen egg, the golden Dreamfire egg, explicitly chosen for the cradle of the king's deceased infant son, Balon, has been placed in the unborn child's cradle. Daemon insolently invites the king to his wedding in 2 days. Viserys is consumed by blind rage at the ultimate desecration of his dead son's memory. He orders immediate preparations to sail to Dragonstone to confront his brother personally, but Otto convinces him it is far too dangerous, volunteering to lead the royal detachment himself. We see the ripples of the crisis spread. Alicent encounters Ser Criston Cole, subtly probing his readiness for the escalating instability before instructing him to meet her in the God's Wood later that evening. Ser Criston, focused entirely on his new duty, assures Princess Rhaenyra that he has assembled the finest royal soldiers available, with Lord Commander Ser Harold joining shortly. Rhaenyra looks at her chosen knight, affirming her absolute faith in his protection as the shadow of war looms over her family. A thick, suffocating fog rolls over the ancient, imposing stone bridge of Dragonstone as Ser Otto Hightower and a contingent of royal guards march toward the castle gates. Prince Daemon Targaryen steps out to meet them, flanked by his fiercely loyal gold cloaks. Standing close behind him is Mysaria. Daemon toys with the royal delegation, casually tossing the stolen golden dragon egg from hand to hand like a common plaything. Otto steps forward, delivering the king's absolute command: surrender the egg, disband the illegal army, dismiss the mistress and vacate the island immediately. Daemon sneers at the demands, mocking the king's absence. The tension spikes as Daemon recognizes Ser Criston Cole. Criston steps up, coldly suggesting he should knock the rogue prince off his horse to refresh his memory, drawing a dark, amused smile from Daemon. Otto fiercely reprimands Daemon, calling his actions a pathetic, attention-seeking spectacle, but Daemon counters that he is merely honoring Targaryen lineage traditions. When Otto spits that those sacred traditions belong to true heirs, not the bastard child of a common whore, Daemon's demeanor shifts to lethal intent. Blades are drawn on both sides, steel scraping against steel in the heavy mist. The standoff reaches a terrifying climax as Daemon's blood-red dragon, Caraxes, screeches and emerges from the rocky cliffs, pinning the royal forces in place with the threat of immediate incineration. Suddenly, a piercing cry cuts through the fog. Dropping down from the clouds on her golden dragon, Syrax, Princess Rhaenyra arrives in a stunning display of defiance. She lands squarely on the bridge, completely disrupting the balance of power. Stepping off her mount, she fearlessly walks past the stunned royal guards and confronts her uncle face to face. Daemon orders Criston to take her away, but Rhaenyra stands her ground, reminding everyone present that she is the rightful princess of Dragonstone. When Daemon claims she is standing in his castle, she sharply replies that it will never truly be his until he outlives her. She demands to know why he has provoked this conflict, cutting through his excuses about marriage and the cradle egg. Rhaenyra steps directly into Daemon's personal space, putting her life on the line. She tells him that if he truly wishes to reclaim his status as heir and take the throne, he must strike her down right there. Confronted with the absolute fearlessness of his niece and unable to commit kinslaying, Daemon's bluff is utterly broken. He silently yields, tossing the dragon egg back to her before turning his back and retreating into the fortress. Rhaenyra secures the egg, leaving Otto standing in absolute awe of her political triumph. Inside the dark walls of Dragonstone, the fallout of the confrontation turns domestic. A furious Mysaria confronts Daemon, demanding to know why he publicly announced a fake marriage and a non-existent pregnancy to the entire realm. Daemon attempts to brush it off, suggesting they can make the lie a reality, but Mysaria is terrified. She reveals the grim reality of her existence. While the crown might spare a rogue Valyrian prince, they will show absolutely no mercy to a common foreigner who has been bought and sold like property her entire life. She lambasts Daemon for playing dangerous political games with his brother at the expense of her safety, stating fiercely that she did not flee to his side for wealth or power, but for absolute freedom from fear. Back at the Red Keep, King Viserys seeks counsel from Lord Lionel Strong regarding the impending marriage crisis. Viserys questions why he should hesitate to marry Lena Valerion, given her pure blood and the immense wealth of her house. Lionel bluntly reminds him of the unsettling truth: the girl is only 12 years old. Viserys sighs, admitting he never desired to remarry, but Lionel warns that refusing Corlys could turn House Valerion into a dangerously powerful rival, especially with the Stepstones crisis threatening their naval trade dominance. Lionel gives his honest, honorable advice. The king must swallow his pride and marry Lena to bind the sea snake to the crown for generations. The political debate is cut short as a guard announces Rhaenyra's sudden return. Viserys confronts his daughter in a storm of paternal panic and anger, berating her for disobeying direct orders, leaving the capital secretly and risking her life as his sole heir. Rhaenyra calmly asks to sit, completely defusing his wrath by revealing that she successfully recovered the dragon egg without spilling a single drop of blood, noting that she feared Otto would fail the task alone. The anger in Viserys melts into vulnerable, emotional exhaustion. Looking at his daughter, he admits how much she reminds him of Queen Aemma, confessing that the loss of her mother is a wound that will never truly heal for the family or the kingdom. In a rare moment of transparency, Viserys explains that his decision to remarry is an agonizing political necessity to secure the succession against external threats, not an attempt to replace her mother. Rhaenyra, deeply moved by his vulnerability, gives her father her blessing, stating that her mother would have understood his duty to the realm, bringing a fragile peace to their fractured relationship. The climax of the political maneuvering unfolds within the solemn chamber of the small council. The doors swing open as the lords take their seats, with Lord Corlys waiting with supreme confidence, fully expecting the announcement of his daughter Lena as the next queen. Viserys enters and takes his place at the head of the table. He looks out over his court and delivers his final, fateful decree. Before the end of autumn, he will take Lady Alicent Hightower as his new queen. The room is instantly paralyzed by shock. Lord Corlys stands up, his face contorted in absolute fury, openly declaring that the king is making a catastrophic mistake. Viserys barks back, asserting his absolute royal authority. Disgraced and insulted, the sea snake turns on his heel and storms out of the council chamber. Rhaenyra sits frozen, staring in absolute, silent betrayal at Alicent, who keeps her eyes cast down in shame. Unable to bear the sight of her best friend's treachery, Rhaenyra rises and exits, leaving the council in tatters. The scene shifts dramatically to the ancestral seat of High Tide on Driftmark. A vengeful Lord Corlys hosts Prince Daemon Targaryen in his private study. Corlys delivers a powerful speech detailing the legacy of House Valerion, noting that while they are as old or older than the Targaryens, they built their legendary empire through the unforgiving sea with blood, sweat, and sheer determination, rather than relying on dragons. He points out that he and Daemon are cut from the exact same cloth, both restless, ambitious men who have been systematically marginalized and cast aside by King Viserys and the scheming Otto Hightower. Corlys highlights the pathetic inaction of the crown regarding the crab feeder, warning that his house will be economically ruined if the Triarchy takes full control of the Stepstones shipping lanes. Daemon acknowledges his brother's profound weakness in taking decisive action. Seizing the moment, Corlys proposes an unholy, independent military alliance. He tells Daemon that the Stepstones await them, offering the rogue prince the ultimate opportunity to bypass the crown, crush the crab feeder, and prove his true worth to everyone who ever doubted his power. Corlys looks into Daemon's eyes, reminding him that they are the neglected second sons of the realm, and urges him to finally claim his destiny. Daemon smiles, the pact is sealed, and the drums of war begin to beat.